We're often conditioned to believe that there's a set of rules we need to follow when it comes to relationships. These rules come from society, culture, even our friends. Rules about how to act, what to say, how much to show, and how much to hide. They suggest that we should play it cool, keep a bit of distance, don't reveal too much, and always keep some mystery. It's the idea that if you act too eager, too interested, too available, you'll push the other person away. We've all heard it: don't text her too soon, don't make yourself too available, or don't let her know how much you care. These rules are meant to protect us from being too vulnerable, to keep us from looking desperate. But here's the thing: what happens when a man doesn't follow these rules? What happens when he throws caution to the wind, when he stops playing the game and simply chooses to be himself, unapologetically? The truth is, he becomes irresistible. It's the unpredictability, the confidence, and the boldness that make him stand out. He's not trying to follow a formula, he's creating his own path. He doesn't just play the game, he rewrites the rules entirely. The woman feels this difference. It's in the way he carries himself. He's not trying to appear perfect or calculated, he's just real. And that raw, unfiltered confidence is magnetic. When you break the rules, you show that you're not just trying to fit in, you're standing out. You're not afraid to take risks, to show your true emotions, to put yourself out there without worrying about the consequences. It's this kind of boldness that makes a man stand apart from the crowd. Women don't want someone who's just following the script. They want someone who challenges them, who makes them feel something deeper, something real. When you break the rules, you're showing her that you're different from everyone else, and that difference is exactly what attracts her. The play hard to get rule has been passed down through generations as one of the golden rules of attraction. It's the idea that if you appear too eager, too interested, you'll lose the mystery and, in turn, lose the chase. The thinking is that people want what they can't have, and by playing hard to get, you create a sense of desire by making the other person work for your attention. On paper, it sounds like a smart tactic. But here's the reality: when a man follows this rule too strictly, he ends up building walls, not intimacy. Women can sense when someone is playing games, and despite the mystique it may initially create, it often leads to frustration, confusion, and a lack of genuine connection. The man who breaks this rule, on the other hand, shows something entirely different. He's not afraid of vulnerability, of being straightforward. He lets her know he's interested, and he doesn't make her guess. There's power in being direct, in showing your emotions without hiding behind layers of strategy. When you break this rule, you become authentic. You're not trying to manipulate the situation. You're letting her see you for who you truly are. There's nothing more attractive than a man who is willing to put himself out there, without fear of rejection or judgment. By being open and upfront, he shows confidence in his own worth. Women are drawn to that kind of confidence because it doesn't rely on playing games or following some external script. It's grounded in his own sense of self-assurance. He's not worried about whether he's coming on too strong or looking desperate, because he knows that his value doesn't depend on holding back or playing coy. He gives his full attention, he's genuine in his approach, and this transparency creates an atmosphere of trust and connection. The more a man breaks this rule and simply acts as himself, the more powerful his attraction becomes. There's no guessing or wondering. There's just clarity, and that clarity is what makes him truly magnetic. The idea that women need time to open up is often seen as a fundamental rule when it comes to relationships. Society encourages men to be patient, to take things slow, to let the woman come to him when she's ready. The assumption is that women need to feel emotionally safe, that they need time to trust, and that they'll only reveal their true selves when they feel comfortable. But in reality, this rule can sometimes hinder real emotional connection. While it's true that trust and emotional security are important, the man who breaks this rule and isn't afraid to dive deeper into the emotional aspects of a relationship can create something far more powerful. The key isn't rushing or forcing anything, but rather showing emotional maturity in the moment. A man who understands how to connect on a deeper level and who isn't afraid to be vulnerable can create an atmosphere where a woman feels safe enough to open up quickly. He doesn't wait for her to make the first move or to start the deep conversations. He initiates them himself. This doesn't mean overwhelming her with too much too soon, but instead gently guiding her into a place where she feels comfortable sharing more. It's about being attuned to her needs, picking up on subtle cues, and responding in a way that encourages her to be honest and open. When a man can tap into that emotional connection from the start, it allows for a deeper bond to form much quicker than anyone expects. He isn't relying on the standard wait and see approach. He's leading with authenticity, which helps break down walls that may have taken months or even years to break down otherwise. By breaking this rule, the man shows that he's not afraid of emotional intimacy, and that he's capable of handling the depth of connection. This kind of emotional availability is incredibly attractive because it's rare. It creates a space where both people can truly be themselves, without fear of judgment or rejection. Rather than waiting for her to open up, he creates the environment where she feels safe to do so, and that creates a much stronger, more profound connection than following the standard rules ever could. The rule that says men shouldn't show too much emotion has been ingrained into many of us. Society often teaches men that emotions, especially vulnerability, are signs of weakness. A man who wears his heart on his sleeve is often viewed as less masculine or too soft, and this fear of appearing weak causes many men to suppress their feelings, sometimes to a dangerous extent. But the man who breaks this rule and isn't afraid to show his emotions in a balanced, confident way actually becomes more magnetic. He understands that emotional depth is a strength, not a liability. This man is emotionally available, not afraid to express what he feels, whether it's passion, affection, or even pain. He's not hiding behind a mask of indifference or aloofness. Instead, he's open and transparent about his feelings, and this authenticity draws others to him because it demonstrates his emotional maturity. Women find this emotional transparency incredibly appealing because it creates a sense of trust and comfort. When a man can express his emotions without fear, it shows that he's secure in who he is. It proves that he's not trying to fit into a mold of what society says he should be. He's comfortable with his own vulnerability, and this comfort makes him even more attractive. Rather than being distant or stoic, he's approachable, and his emotional openness allows for deeper connection. A man who can share his thoughts and feelings and still maintain his confidence and sense of self isn't just showing vulnerability, he's showing strength. It takes far more courage to be open and emotionally available than to play it safe by hiding behind a facade. This kind of emotional expression isn't about being overly dramatic or losing control. It's about being real, being honest, and allowing himself to experience emotions fully without fear of judgment. When a man shows that he's not afraid to let his emotions out, he breaks down walls not only within himself, but with the people around him. This openness makes him more relatable, more human, and ultimately more magnetic. It also encourages others to be emotionally honest with him, creating a deeper, more meaningful connection than what could be achieved by simply following the rule of keeping emotions in check. The rule that says you should never make a woman feel like she's the only one is one that often stems from the idea of playing it cool. It's based on the belief that if you put too much attention on one person, they might feel smothered, or that you're overly eager, which could turn them off. The suggestion is that you should always be somewhat distant, giving off the impression that you have options and that she's not the center of your world. This approach is often viewed as a strategy to maintain attraction because it supposedly makes you seem you and less available. However, when a man breaks this rule, he opens up an entirely different dimension of attraction. He's not afraid to make her feel special, to make her feel seen and valued. In fact, he understands that making her feel like she's the most important person in the room, at least in that moment, is one of the most powerful ways to build a deep emotional connection. When a man breaks this rule, it's not about becoming clingy or needy. It's about showing genuine care and attention without hesitation. He doesn't hold back on expressing his feelings, letting her know how much she means to him without playing games or keeping score. This kind of behavior can make her feel truly appreciated, and when a woman feels special, wanted, and desired in an authentic way, the attraction skyrockets. The man who breaks this rule isn't afraid of being vulnerable in expressing his emotions, and in doing so, he establishes trust and intimacy. He's showing that he values her for who she is, not just as an option among many. By making her feel like she's the one he wants, without games or manipulation, he builds a stronger connection and shows that he's emotionally available and genuine. In this way, he becomes magnetic because he's offering something real, something far more valuable than playing the aloof, distant man who never lets anyone in. Instead of relying on tactics or strategies, he creates a genuine, deep bond with her that's based on trust and mutual respect. The woman feels desired in a way that goes beyond surface-level attraction, and this emotional depth is what ultimately makes her feel drawn to him. When you break the rule of never making her feel like the only one, you're letting her know she's significant, and in return, she becomes deeply attached. The idea that a man should never make a woman feel like she's the only one is deeply ingrained in many people's dating beliefs. It stems from the assumption that if a woman feels too important or singled out, she may get the wrong idea or lose interest, especially if the man shows too much attention or devotion. This belief suggests that a man should keep his options open, be somewhat detached, and not overly prioritize one woman. The theory is that by playing the field or maintaining a sense of emotional distance, he'll seem value, making him more attractive to women who will then want to pursue him. However, the man who breaks this rule understands that showing genuine interest and making a woman feel like she's special can create a deeper emotional bond. When a man makes a woman feel like she's the only one, he's not being naive or desperate. He's being authentic. He's allowing himself to be vulnerable, to put his focus entirely on her, and in doing so, he creates a rare sense of connection that is based on real emotions, not games or manipulation. Rather than playing hard to get or trying to appear indifferent, he's demonstrating that he values her for who she is, and that his attention and affection are not just given out to anyone. When he does this, he shows that he's emotionally invested, not out of a need to gain something, but because he genuinely enjoys being with her and cares about her. This emotional openness creates a space where she can also feel safe and open, which fosters deeper intimacy and attachment. A woman will often feel more attached to a man who makes her feel like she's not just another option in his life, but someone he truly values and cherishes. This connection is far stronger and more meaningful than any games could ever create. It leads to a relationship built on mutual respect, where both parties are emotionally available and willing to invest in each other. The man who breaks the rule of keeping women at arm's length isn't playing hard to get. He's showing her that she matters, and in doing so, he makes her feel a depth of attraction and emotional security that is rare and powerful. His actions convey that he's not just interested in her for superficial reasons, but because he sees her as someone worth his full attention and care. This emotional commitment and sincerity create a dynamic where she feels truly valued, and that is what ultimately makes her fall for him even more deeply. In the end, breaking these so-called rules isn't about being reckless or manipulative. It's about rejecting the fear that holds us back from being genuine. It's about embracing authenticity, emotional depth, and vulnerability. The man who dares to break the rules doesn't just attract attention, he builds real connections. He's not afraid to be himself, to show his emotions, to make someone feel special, and to give his full attention when it matters most. This kind of man doesn't play games or follow scripts. He creates his own path, one built on confidence, emotional intelligence, and sincerity. And in doing so, he becomes not just attractive, but unforgettable.